This is the plaintiff, Brian Ramirez. He says he rented his car to the defendants so they could drive it down to Florida, and they basically destroyed it. They caused the car to overheat, which in turn warped the engine. Now he has 11 mechanical issues with his car, and it's basically a piece of junk. The defendants owe him big time. That's why he's here suing for the $2,952.89 he is owed. These are the defendants, George and Sindel. They say they did nothing wrong to the plaintiff's car other than drive it, which is what a car does. When that car broke down, they paid $120 to have it towed and another $750 to have it repaired. So how does this guy come off suing them for nearly $3,000 for something they had no control of? The answer is they don't owe him a penny, and they think that judge will agree. They're accused of motoring into court.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff rented his car to the defendants to take a trip to Florida, and they ruined it. Now, the defendants say they just drove and the car broke down. It's the case of, I can't be a flow rider because the whip broke.
You're welcome.
Mr. Ramirez, you rented out your 2009 Honda Civic to the defendants, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
They were going on a trip to Florida? All right, and how much did you charge them to rent it out to them?
I didn't initially ask to rent it out to them. He asked me to borrow my car for $500
So it was gonna be $500 for how long?
for a week.
1 week. All right, and what happens? Let me hear from them because it happened to them. What happens with the car?
On the way down, it drove fine, but on the trip back to New York, it started giving us problems.
Like what? What was the first problem you noticed?
It shut off on us,
Okay.
and
Like
then further into
what were the circumstances under which it shut off?
it just started smoking, right?
Well, it started overheating, and then that's when we kind of pulled over, so to let it cool down so we could start it up again.
Okay. When you were letting it cool down, did you text him and let him know that that had happened? You're saying yes,
so.
but you're not sure.
Yes.
Was it then or was it later that you texted him? When was it?
I texted him both times, actually, when it happened, because it happened twice.
And what did he
Happened the
say
first
to
time.
you when you texted him?
The first time he said to shut it off for half an hour and to let it cool down because the car does that.
Okay. May I see that text? Do you have it in your phone?
Yes, I do.
I prefer seeing it in the phone.
Okay.
So, so you wait. How long do you wait before starting it up again?
An hour or two?
An hour and
Yeah.
an hour and a half.
And then we drove it to Pep Boys.
Okay.
And we asked someone there to please come look at the car because we were afraid to keep driving it.
Okay.
And
what state were you in at this point?
I feel like it was in the Carolinas the first time it
Cass,
happened.
I believe.
One of
south.
those two?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, go on.
And they said that, you know, everything looked fine, that it didn't need anything.
Do you have anything from Pep Boys?
No, because they just came and they just looked at it and they didn't really
Okay.
charge us anything.
And then what happens?
We drove it fine, and then the New Jersey Turnpike, it started smoking and overheating, and the car started to shake, and then it stopped on me completely
While you were on the turnpike?
while we were on the turnpike.
So it literally, you're stopped.
it
Did you have
started
time to pull over or no?
Yeah, I mean, it was late at night, so, you know, there wasn't anyone else
So
on the
you
road.
pulled over on
So
the
I pulled
curb.
over, and
And then what happens?
That was when we called
Yeah,
the
we-
tow company.
we called.
Because we let the car cool down for
Did
like
you text
another
him
hour.
that time?
I believe I did too. I'm scrolling all the
Okay.
way up to. One second.
So what happened? Do you call him or text him and tell him you're broken down on the side of the road?
First I texted him and then I tried calling him. At first he didn't pick up. It was late at night, so I kept calling. Then that was when he finally, I guess, answered and called back, and that's when we started talking about the whole situation.
And what did he
happened.
say and what did you say?
He told me that I should leave the car off. That the car does that.
Yo, your car broke down, dead 2 hours away. I don't know if
Excuse my
I'll be
language.
able to bring the car back. I had problems this whole trip. He says, bro, I told you, you gotta give it maintenance, and you ain't wanna listen. Yo, make sure the car is completely off for over a half hour straight. You answer, yo, I can't bring this car. I'll send you the location where the car is. I suggest you come and get it before it's impounded, I guess. Sorry, I can't. He says, before it's pounded, bro, you're responsible for that car getting back here. Yeah, why wouldn't that be right, that you got to get it towed or whatever back to where you got it? I don't know. You need a tow, you need a tow. If you would have listened, you would have been home, but you swear you're smarter than me. What does that mean?
He swears he knows it all and everything. I told him, you're driving 1,500 miles plus to Florida, right? I did all the maintenance for the car, gave it an oil change, made sure the coolant, all the fluids and everything.
Do you have any of the paperwork to show that? Because I know they repeatedly asked you to show that. So I'm asking you to show it.
I don't have the paperwork.
You don't have
for
a
that.
single iota of proof of having changed the oil, done everything you claim you did in preparation for renting it out to people who you knew were going to take it on a 1,000-mile ride. Did you do anything to prepare your car?
I let him know through text that I did everything.
Then let me see it.
Oh, yeah.
No, not the text, the proof that you did everything.
I let him know before I gave him the car.
Yeah, I
that
know
did
you
everything,
said it.
and
Now I
gave it
want to
him
see it.
prior.
Just everybody wants to see it. He asked you to see it. Now I'm asking you to see it.
I don't have it.
You don't have a single stitch of evidence. All those things you did to have the car ready for a drive. Why were you telling him to just let it cool down, that it does that?
When a car is overheating, in general, you have to let the car cool down if you want to drive it again.
In general or in specific?
And all the time, it's overheating. The car was not overheating.
It's a 10-year-old car with 160,000 miles on it.
That I kept in great shape.
Great. So
for 3
I'm
years.
wondering, how many other times has that happened, what you just said?
Maybe once or twice in 2
To
years.
cool down. All right, now what do you end up doing? How does the car get from where it's broken down to?
We called AAA and we got it towed from that spot to our.
If you have
close to our
AAA,
house.
why are you telling him, hey, go pick up the car before it gets impounded? It's kind of hostile.
But
The
it's because
AAA is under my mother's name.
So your mother had to come to
So
the scene?
we
she
had to
came-
call her and
oh,
she had
yes.
to come get us from New Jersey to.
Yeah. All right, so
and we used her AAA.
so then it gets towed to where?
to our house.
To your house.
Down
And
the
then
block.
what happens?
We called the mechanic. The mechanic come. Well, actually, I called him to come look at the car, which he does. And there was a whole commotion that happened there.
Why?
He was just not happy about his car.
Okay.
He did not even check it. He just looked at it and just was so upset.
And he was mad that the car wasn't starting and wouldn't move.
If I remember, he did not even try to turn on the car at that moment.
Okay, so then what happens? Who takes it to a mechanic, you or him?
I do. I
All
actually
right,
call
you
my
take
mechanic.
it to a mechanic, and what does the mechanic say?
So
Go ahead.
temperature sensor, fan switch, thermostat, and coolant.
Okay,
That's what he
so
does.
you pay that mechanic to tend to these issues,
Yes.
and how much do you pay the mechanic?
In total, $761.25.
Why?
It was $415 in parts, and then I was charged
No, why do you fix the
sorry.
car?
Because it was, it did break down on me, so I thought it would be
What
fair.
did you do that broke down the car?
Put too many miles?
He knew you were putting those miles on it. You didn't
Yes.
hide. That would be if you said, I need a car for 2 weeks and didn't tell him you were driving to Orlando. But he knew you were driving to Orlando.
I just did
So
it
you
when
did exactly what you were supposed to do. Why? What evidence do you have that they did something to kill the car?
They gave it no maintenance. They drove it over 3,000 miles and gave
What
no
maintenance were they supposed to give it?
So whose responsibility is it to check the oil to make sure the car can make it? The owner of the car or the people who rent the car?
I think the owner of the car, because first of all, that's your car. You know the car better to begin with. And
But at the same time, you can check oil, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So who's responsible?
The owner of the car.
The owner of the car.
A smart person would still check.
agree with that.
You agree with that? Okay, smart man. Even if you don't know her, smart man. Going inside the courtroom.
You drive a long time, you drive that amount of distance and the car is old, you have to make sure its fluids is correct. Okay, at the end we found out that he drove the car with no coolant in the car. Coolant costs $15 or for a huge bottle and you only need a little quart of it.
We found out he drove the car with no coolant. Okay. I presume that before you rented it out for a week, you claimed that you did a bunch of things. I presume that you checked the fluids and knew it had coolant. So who is we who found out that he drove the car with no additional coolant? And why would additional coolant be necessary on a 1-week trip if you just check the fluids? The car now needs a new engine? Okay. Do you have anything from a mechanic that says that it needs a new engine because of their conduct, like in any way, like it was driven without coolant? Whatever it is you're saying here, do you have any proof of what you're saying, I guess is what I'm asking.
I have proof. I replaced the radiator and paid out of my own pocket. He said the engine and the radiator was blown.
Okay, I need something that proves that it's their fault that happened, as opposed to that you have a 10-year-old car with 160,000 miles that you rented out to get driven 3,000 miles. So show me something that proves that. What do you have from the repair shop? Show me what you have from the repair shop.
From the repair shop, I have the bill that I paid and the estimate to complete the repairs.
Okay, let's see that. Okay, all this says is used engine around the same miles, 750, and replacing it 800. All right. Tell me what he did wrong that caused your motor to blow. They, because you're suing both of them, did wrong that caused your motor to blow. What did they do wrong?
They kept driving and overheating.
What evidence do you have of that?
Solution. The evidence, I have the.
How do I know it's them driving in and overheating and not you before now driving in and overheating? Because according to you, several times when the car overheated, all you had to do was pull off to the side of the road and wait for it to cool off, which is what they did. So what did they do differently? They did what you told them to do. My verdict in this case is for the defendants.
Well, it didn't go too well for Mr. Ramirez.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. What are you thinking?
I feel like she didn't let me tell my side of the story at all. I have pages of evidence that she didn't even put her eyes to at all. It wasn't just.
She asked you to try and give her what you needed to give her.
She didn't. She wanted her specific. She didn't let me tell my side of the story like they got to tell their side of the story. But it is what it is.
You know, maybe better not rent your car out in the future. What do you think?
My advice for everybody is don't help your friends out. When a friend comes crying to you for help, don't help them out. Don't help them out.
Okay. Sorry about that. You must sign some documents that way. All right, George and Sindel on our way out of the courtroom. How do you feel about how this all turned out?
Just glad it's over, I guess.
Yeah, we're not going to be dealing with sketchy people anymore.
I think that's good advice.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you stop and check the oil or anything along the way on the trip?
Yes, at Pep Boys.
You did?
They came out to check.
They did?
Yeah.
Okay.
He checked.
I didn't think Pep Boys did that. All right. Thank you very much. Okay. Harvey?
Okay, Doug, I mean, look, the plaintiff owns the car. It is the owner's responsibility, especially when the owner's on notice, to make sure everything is okay under the hood so the car can make it.